Hello everyone, I'm Professor Geek. Welcome back to the channel and welcome to what's probably going to be a brief but obviously very impromptu live stream. So thanks for everybody popping in and hanging out with me on such short notice. Great to see everybody here. Big Al does have the link. I don't know if he'll join because this is sort of, all of a sudden off the cuff, and he usually needs a little more prep time than this. Plus I warned him that I'm going to be crashing pretty hard on Disney Star Wars in this stream. So we'll see. We'll see what he decides to do. But welcome everybody in the chat. Let's see who we've got here already. If you don't mind clicking that thumbs up for me, that's a big help. Mr. Matchstick, welcome, welcome. Right off the bat, making a joke about the forehead right out the gate. Good stuff. Unqualified Comics. Yes, you should go play Knights of the Old Republic. Absolutely. Again and again and again and again. It's so much fun. Blue Samurai Zero, welcome. Owen Lister, just followed you back. Casey Lark. Blue Samurai Zero, yeah, I said that. Daniel Heron, Nanette Pacelli, welcome, welcome. And Troy Pacelli, great to have you guys here. I know, surprise live stream tonight. I know, it just is spur of the moment. I just had some thoughts, some stuff that I just felt like venting about on Star Wars. Some of the stuff I'm going to talk about is a little bit of a rehashing of an old video that I did on archetypes and stuff, but I'm just going to tailor it specifically for Star Wars here. So plus I need to be streaming. I've been horrible about marketing for the Tales from the Stacks special collections edition. I mean, really bad about that. So I wanted to do some streams here and there. Adam Post and I have a stream planned at some point. We're going to talk about horror archetypes and whatnot, since both of our books lend themselves to that. And but let me go ahead and start with the pitch. It's a time where everybody's buying up campaigns and whatnot. Congratulations to Ethan Van Sciver, Cyberfrog Wreck Planet. It just like hit, what do you say? It hit like $250,000 in the first 4 hours or something of going live. It was crazy. Super excited about that one. So congrats to him. And that's going to go well. And give that to all the detractors who talked about, oh, his supporters are going to die off, fade away. Right. So, good to see everybody here. Albertosaurus channel. A nice name. I like that. Paladin Demo. Welcome. Yes, nice cover. Yeah, this is pretty sweet little design here. Let me go back to the, yeah, so special collections. For those who don't know, the link is in the description, and I'll drop it in the chat when I can. Maybe Troy will drop it in there for me too, or whatever. But this is the same book as before in terms of there's nothing in that book that's not in this one, but there's more stuff in this one. This is a special collections, obviously. So there's an additional prose story that's illustrated. It's one of my freakier prose stories. I think I described it before. It's a short story entitled Candle Cuties, and it's about this novelty. It's a sort of a hentai shop novelty kind of thing, but there are these candles that people are selling, and if you burn them, the idea is that you see like a hot little girl in the flame, like a hentai girl or something like that in the flame, and this person in the story doesn't know, is this just like a trick? Is there some sort of like image reflecting inside the candle, or is it some sort of sea monkeys kind of thing? Like, what's going on with this? What is it really? And so he ends up buying a pack and seeing what's what. So that's that story, and that's going to be illustrated as well. And then the whole impetus behind this whole edition was the fact that I had so much art that came in last minute, too late to actually get in the book, like pin up and promotional art. So I thought, well, let me just do a special edition. Now that the first campaign is getting ready to ship, let me just do this special edition. Hopefully I can ship some together, and that would be great. So yeah, that's the deal here. I've been horrible about promoting it, but we are over halfway there to the goal, and hope to leave this up for a while. So I know most of my crowd here is probably already backed the first one. If you did back the first campaign, you do have some options if you're just interested in this, the new content, not this one or whatever. Of course, if you want to get the collector's editions, they're new books too, you're welcome to grab. So Albertosaurus, I like that hashtag. Disney is not my Star Wars. Amen to that. Amen. Absolutely. When Lister does the candle girl smell like, no, this is not Gwyneth Paltrow's candle. Nothing to do with that. I wrote this story a long time ago, long before she came out with her nonsense candle stuff. Whatever. No. This is a older story, but a good one, I think. So yeah, I don't really scroll down a little bit. I do have a tease of some of the new art, and I've been teasing some things on Twitter here and there. This is some of the interior art just of the book, and illustrator Monk's story there, the story he illustrated for me, and then the one that I had Ki Young Lee do the art for, and then Ralph Dahl. Love that art there. But there's a tease of some of the new art that'll be included. But there's more than that. And we're getting some of these colored and stuff. So it's going to be good stuff. Yep. All right. So that is that. Let me jump over to Star Wars. All right. We'll come back to that. Like I said, if you don't mind hitting that thumbs up for me, that'd be much appreciated. Looks like we have 24 watching and 11 thumbs up. We can do better than that. Tom Spiegel, welcome. Tease is right. Yeah, it is a tease, isn't it? Quite a tease. It's weird. The first video I did of that, just announcing it, the one that Adam Post came on talking about College of the Dead 2, that got flagged. Not like flagged in a like copyright, like strike against my channel, but it got like age appropriate flagged. Like it's got like an age warning on it now or something. I'm like, what the? There's no nudity. There's no. I don't know if it was the teases from my campaign, or maybe it's the graphic nature of his content. Like maybe it is that cover of like the girl getting eaten, like literally her arms and legs are being eaten off. Maybe that was it. I don't know. So we'll see. If this one gets flagged too, then I know it's my book. So we will age appropriate flagged. You know what I mean? Not the not like hurting your channel copyright flagged. So anyway, the point behind this video is that Star Wars matters. It matters. It's vital. It's very important to our culture. And maybe you think, duh, or maybe you think, why are you just talking about this now? Obviously, I've been talking about it in some capacity or another for a long time. That's kind of one of the shticks of my channel too, is talking about why mythology matters in general. There are a number of reasons why I'm talking about it right now. One is that we have... Oh, hey, Mr. Al is here. He's back. Hey. Hello, Al. How are you? I didn't see you there. Sorry.
I feel you may need an anchor. So I've decided
I may need an anchor.
I'm just here to bring you back in just in case you go too far.
All right, let's see. It's well, I'll try not to make you a whipping boy anyway. No, the reason I wanted to talk about it now is because Disney's been doing awful things with Star Wars for a while, and that's been pretty much understood by the fans of the franchise. You know, it's not really it's like, well, yeah, duh. But then they came around with The Mandalorian, which apparently is actually a pretty good quality story and quality thing. And then they came out with they launched the final season of Clone Wars, which I've been watching and caught up on. And I myself am actually quite impressed with that, sticking to, as long as it remains within the continuity of what came before and doesn't touch any of the new continuity. But the problem with both of these is that it's luring a lot of people into thinking, see, you can't kill Star Wars. Star Wars will be around forever. You can't kill, nothing can kill Star Wars. It's fine. Everybody stop freaking out. It'll be fine. See, they're doing good stories now, so it's going to be fine. No, it won't. The only way it'll be fine is if they retcon everything they did with their Disney trilogy. And I'm going to show you why with my little presentation here, with my little prepared spiel. There's flat out absolutely no way possible to move forward with Star Wars and still have it resonate with people and still be as important to people and still matter to our culture and be as prevalent in our culture as it has been these past decades if you don't retcon the Disney trilogy and do it soon, even do it soon. Got a super chat here. Miss Serena 1000, hello, welcome. Take as long as you need a script. I want you to rush it. I'm rewriting some scenes. Stay safe and healthy. Oh, great to hear from you. Yeah, if you do have new scenes that you want me to take a look at, like if you updated the script or whatever, feel free to send that to me because I'm not through to the end of it yet. So if I'll be happy to substitute any of that for you. But great to see you. And thank you for the super chat too. Much appreciated. So I was watching. I've just been trying to consume as much Star Wars lately as I can because I love it. Thankfully, I've still got most of the EU ahead of me. Did you ever see, Al, the documentary on I think it was like a History Channel documentary on the making of Star Wars. Did you ever see anything like that?
Probably. I have seen many things. Things have blurred through this
Sure.
time.
I'm sure.
So I've seen, if it's not what you're thinking of, I've seen other making of inspirations of that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's actually on Disney Plus. That's where I found it last night. But I remember watching parts of it way back when too. It's on the History Channel or something like that. But yeah, it goes through George Lucas, his his time in film school, and then wanting to make Star Wars, and going from the sort of Flash Gordon idea to eventually getting it through. I think it goes through all the whole sequel trilogy. I mean, original trilogy too. But anyway, that just got me thinking about things. And I did this video a while ago. It was on archetypes and the hero's journey, and why the crowd today, the NPCs or the ists, or the ist callers or whatever, like to hate on the hero's journey. And I'll put the video link there. I'm going to reiterate some of the things I said in that. But if if you're watching and maybe you want it presented in a slightly different way, slightly calmer way, that video was pretty calm. So even though Al wasn't there to anchor me, it was a prepared video. So my anchor's here. Where's your Star Wars thumbnail garb?
Well, dude, you're lucky I'm here.
I'm surprised. I'm shocked you're here. I know you usually don't do it on spur of the moment. Notice.
I was laying here on my Kindle when you dinged me 10 minutes ago.
Yeah.
And you're like, here's the link, join me. And I'm like, where did this come from? And I'm sitting here watching Big Bang playing, with my Simply Rockets on my Kindle, seeing if I can ever break Jupiter's atmosphere. I'm too impatient to build one I would actually probably need. But there you go. But I just thought, you know what? Why not?
Mm-hmm.
I was kind of like, just
well, I'm glad. I'm
so
glad to have you.
It's like I'm gonna join the party whether he wants me or not.
No, I wouldn't have dropped the link if you.
I guarantee you wouldn't have dropped the link if you didn't.
So great to have you.
But once you get around, of course, we'll have to give my view of the new trilogy, and it may actually surprise you.
Well, I think I've got a better handle on your view too, and you can tell me if it's changed since this too, or if I've got it right or whatever. But
okay.
Let me since you're here, I mean everybody's of course you guys, but I can just see Fan Man like, you guys didn't want me on the stream, so make sure I throw him the link. Or don't want to hurt his sentimentalities there. So
sensibilities, you mean?
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to write and talk at the same time. It doesn't work. You know me. Can't do two things at once. All right. Okay, so I get back to it. Like I said, we're going to be on here hours or anything. But I'm going to start kind of go way back. You might think, what are you talking about? How does that have to do with Star Wars? But just bear with me for a second. All right. So let's transport for a second back, and you stop me if I get any super chats out or whatever, so I don't miss any people. But let's transport you back now to the 4th century BC. All right. This is the time of ancient Greece. Socrates, Plato. We've got this set of 3 student teachers there. We got Socrates, whose student was of course Plato, and Socrates never wrote anything. Plato wrote the Socratic dialogues and whatnot, so it's kind of hard to know which ideas are directly from Socrates and which ideas are added by Plato, but the two of them are pretty lockstep in their in their thinking and whatnot. And Plato put forth this idea of the Platonic forms, the Platonic ideals, sometimes it's called, but the Platonic forms. And the basic concept is that Plato said it doesn't exist in our real world, not within our reality, but there does exist perfected forms of anything we can conceive of. So, for example, the circle, right? You might make a circle of rocks or bend a stick or something like that into a circle, but it's not a perfect circle. Even if you have something carefully sculpted or there's no such thing as the perfect circle within this realm, within our plane of existence. In the heavens, there exists the circle, which is the primary, the perfected form of the circle, and everything that we conceive of is just a dim reflection of that. If you remember, if you've ever learned about Plato's cave and the this idea of forms comes into play there. Did you ever hear that idea, the Plato's cave, Al?
No.
It's basically, I won't go into it all because it's pretty in depth and everything, but the idea that we in this realm, we're basically like people who are tied up as prisoners in a cave, and we're seeing shadows on a wall. On the other side of us is a fire. We're seeing shadows on a wall of real things. So like a giraffe walks by behind us, we only see the giraffe's shadow, and we think that shadow is the giraffe. But there's truly a real giraffe behind us we just can't see. And that's basically what you liken to, giraffes we might have here on Earth are just poor imitations of the real form, the perfected giraffe, which exists off in the heavens or somewhere. That's the idea. So this idea of Platonic forms, and yeah, and the way he's, and then that happens for anything. It's not just animals. It's not just for shapes or for objects. It's also for relationships. Like there's the perfect mother. There's the perfect spousal relationship. There's the perfect, everything we can conceive of in this world or we engage in or whatever is just a reflection of a perfected form elsewhere. And it's not quite perfect. And so he said, even though we can never obtain those Platonic forms in this lifestyle, in this lifetime, we need to strive toward them. We need to constantly strive for perfection and use those Platonic forms, the idea of them as a blueprint. Obviously, if you're drawing a circle, you want to conceive in your mind as best you can of the perfect circle and then draw that, even though, it doesn't exist in this world and you'll never fully realize it until, after the afterlife or whatever. So that's the idea. The idea of Platonic forms as blueprints for our life, even though they're completely, they're never going to completely achieve them. Well, Aristotle was a student. Aristotle was a student of Plato, and Aristotle took a lot of Plato's teachings, but he preferred more of a realistic take, more of a realism kind of take. And he, there's that famous painting, the School of Athens, and you got Plato and Aristotle in the middle of it, and Plato's pointing up to the heavens and Aristotle's pointing down to the ground because he, let me see if I can find that. Actually, that'd be a nice little image here for us. But the idea behind the Platonic forms plays in very nicely to what I talk about on my channel quite a bit with the aspirational hero, or the aspirational type stories and so forth. These aspirational characters, our stories, they don't exist in our real life. Superman, the way he's supposed to be written, no one can truly be that good all the time. Of course not. No one can, truly achieve that in this world. And yet we need those aspirational heroes to exist because they show us the possibility of it. They give us something to strive for. Image. All right. Got this now. Sorry. What is that going on?
That was a Kindle update thingy.
Gotcha.
It's still right next to me.
All right. So this is the School of Athens, all these different pre-Socratic philosophers and Socratic philosophers and whatnot. And in the middle here, not the greatest image there, but there's Plato pointing up into the heavens, and there's Aristotle pointing down to the ground. So as I said, the Platonic forms could be likened, you could make them similar to the aspirational hero. And whereas Aristotle tended to have a more realistic approach, and some of his teachings, you might even be able to liken a little bit to the cathartic motivational, or at least draw some parallels. I mean, I'm obviously semesters upon semesters can be taught on these individuals, and I'm giving them short shrift within 5 minutes here. But the cathartic motivational hero and stories, remember, if you've stuck around on my channel, they're the ones that they do show us somebody who screws up and somebody who can make mistakes and have moral failings and whatnot, and yet overcome them to be a hero, right? So I always say it's the difference between Superman as the aspirational and somebody like Spider-Man is the great cathartic motivational. And we need both, but they're there. So why am I bringing up Plato, Aristotle, Socrates, and whatnot? Well, let's jump forward now to the end of the 19th century, beginning of the 20th century. Let's start with Freud for a second. Okay, Freud, psychoanalyst, obviously going back and looking at a lot of the writings of Aristotle and the Greek mythology, the Greek tragedies and whatnot, giving us the Oedipal complex and such. But Freud started out an idea. He conceived of the human psyche as comprised of the ego, and the ego is who you are, who you know yourself to be, who you are. what you're conscious of and around you. Then there's the id, which is your unknown. And that's almost, think of it like a subconscious almost. That's like the darkness within you that you keep hidden from everybody else, the dark urges. And then there's your super ego that you would like to be, that which you would like to be, Freud, image up here. There we go. I always like that one with him and the cigar there.
Yeah. Well, sometimes the cigar is just a cigar.
Sometimes the cigar is just a cigar. Yeah. So Freud did that. Now, Freud had a student by the name of Carl Jung. And Jung took all of Freud's teachings and adapted them a bit. And he made his own concept of the psyche out of them. So we've got Carl Jung here. Here he's younger, older. I think that's Freud and Jung. Yeah, Freud, Jung. Some other people. There's Jung right there. Anyway, he was older too. Lived on into the 20th century. There's TV interviews with him and stuff like that. So he's that much of a big deal. There's a nice color shot. But anyway, Jung took Freud's idea of the human psyche, the ego, superego, and id, and he divided it into what he called, we've got a conscious mind, and our conscious mind is just our mind, what we're aware of, our conscious mind. We have a personal unconscious mind, and that's what most people think of today when we call the subconscious. Your personal unconscious mind is where your trauma resides. It's where things that happen that are important to you, but maybe your conscious mind doesn't really know they're important. They dig into your subconscious and they stay there. And if you do a lot of work, if you do a lot of self-actualizing, and if you go to some therapy or whatever, you can actually access things within your subconscious. And, the subconscious is where complexes come from. That's where things that affect our daily life that we don't really understand are there, not know that repressed things, that's the subconscious. And that's the personal unconscious, as he calls it. But then Freud said we have something called a collective unconscious. And the collective unconscious is not about our experience. The collective unconscious is something about us as a species. So just as there are traits within our genes from evolution, say, and sometimes they can, burst forth in an atavistic trait or something, and somebody like, a baby born with a tail or something like that, that kind of stuff happens. Well, the collective unconscious is something we have as a species, as humans. And this is something that we can't access. It's far too deep within our mind, within our human psyches, plural, within the human psyche, of the world. And you can look at that if you're a spiritual person, you can think of that spiritually certain, or if you're a complete and total atheist, and you can still think of it as within the science of the mind. We don't understand a lot of the science of the mind yet, the development of the human mind, but you can still think of it genetically in there somewhere, just like what things would be in the body. And Freud said this collective unconscious, we can't access it, and yet things exist there nonetheless. And he said that certain things exist there called archetypes. So this, something like the idea, this kind of ties it to the Platonic forms. The idea of a mother, like the perfect idea of a mother, exists in the art as an archetype in the collective unconscious. The idea of a hero, the idea of death, the idea of certain things like that exist as archetypes in the collective unconscious. Now, the reason we know of them is because some archetypes are so strong that they burst forth into our human experience through symbols. So it's kind of like the Platonic form in a way, in which the mother that we know, like the archetypal mother, is a symbol for this perfected version of the mother within the collective unconscious. Now, so it's very similar to the Platonic forms in that sense. So we've got Jung, Freud, and Jung was a student of Freud. Then we've got Mr. Joseph Campbell, Mr. Hero with 1,000 Faces, the hero's journey, the one who created comparative mythology and all of this. He is the let's see if I can find a bigger image of that. A better one. Yes, I don't know. He's the one who started comparative mythology, and he took this idea of the archetypes and really ran with it. And he founded comparative mythology. It's going to bother me if I don't get this taken care of, so I'm just going to There we go. Mr. Joseph Campbell. Okay, sorry. That should be there. All right, so he took all of the mythologies and religions around the world throughout time, and he said, okay, if what Jung is saying is true, if these things do exist in our collective unconscious, these, archetypes do exist, and they show forth as symbols, well, then they should show forth in cultures that were never never at all touched each other, from either geographically or time, over time in history or whatever. They should still exist, and he recognized that they do, and that's what he discovered is the hero's journey, that basic formula that you can see in almost any mythology or any story out there of the hero's journey, and it's very vital. It's very true. These are the stories that resonate with us so much. And you might have seen images of the steps of the hero's journey in popular movies, for example. Like you can liken it to certainly Star Wars, Harry Potter, Lord of the Rings, stuff like that. I'm looking for sometimes you can find good charts and whatnot that show them together. Does this work? Yeah, maybe this will work. I don't know. Obviously, I'm never prepared. You know me.
Well, this was spur. I was saying, spur of the moment.
Exactly. Spur of the moment.
You had something itching at you so bad you had to get on, and you were
all right. So there we go. So you got the hero. Here we have, whether it's Harry Potter, Luke Skywalker, Neo, Frodo, even Marlin and Finding Nemo and whatnot. You got the ancient mystagogue, or the mentor, basically these are called. You got the enemy, the guardian of the threshold. The stepping out into the actual journey. You've got the shapeshifters, the tricksters, and so forth. These are all images and all archetypes that make their way, and he recognized these in mythologies. But then you start to realize, well, they show up in our popular fiction too, and they show up in our popular fiction for a number of reasons. One is, let me go back to my YouTube, away from that somehow. We're no longer a culture with a shared mythology that is our religion, right? We're now a culture that has multiple different mythologies. Think the United States, the melting pot or whatever, our society. We have multiple religions within our society. So we still need some sort of shared story set to help us pass down our virtues, to help us pass down our fears and our hopes and aspirations and what we think of as taboo. We still need a shared story set. So since we can't have one religion doing that anymore, we make it our popular fiction. And that's why these stories show up so much in popular fiction, because they're the ones that sell the best. And that's why they show up, because the people demand it through just basic supply and demand. These are the stories that we take to, that we resonate with, that show up over and over again. Well, remember that I said that, because we're going to come back to that. But Mr. Joseph Campbell, we went through Socrates had a student, and it was Plato. Plato had a student, and it was Aristotle. And then we jumped to Freud. Freud had a student, and it was that's a good one. Jung, and on and on. Jung had a student, and it was Campbell. Sorry, getting another image ready, because shoot, dang it all. I know you guys are laughing at me with my complete and total lack of preparation, but I just can't do preparation. Oh, never mind. That's not the person I thought it was anyway. Anyway, Joseph Campbell had a student who was George Lucas. In fact, Joseph Campbell said that George Lucas was one of his best students ever. George Lucas was a huge, many of you might know, a huge fan of Joseph Campbell, and he consulted Campbell a lot when he was writing Star Wars, writing the first scripts and getting it together. He really wanted to make sure he nailed this hero's journey, and really wanted to make sure he was writing a story that was going to resonate with him, because he recognized even those Flash Gordon serials and whatnot that he watched growing up, they resonated with him because of this journey. So he really thought a lot of Campbell, and thought Campbell was onto something, and Campbell thought a lot of George Lucas as well. It's hard to find a better example of the hero's journey than that Star Wars original trilogy. I mean, it really does, it's just perfect. Now, today we've got a lot of, it starts in academia, and it's certainly trickled all the way through, obviously, popular fiction in terms of movie makers and writers and comic makers and whatnot. There's this idea that, the hero's journey, that's so cliche. That's so cliche. Oh, that's just, you know what? That's a tool of the white male, heteronormative, oppressive patriarchy. That's what the hero's journey is. We need to get away from that. We need to tell other stories so we can have diversity and representation. All of that is complete and utter bullshit. Bullshit. It's mind-boggling that people who, you might think of as so intelligent in other ways with all their degrees and whatnot actually buy into this theory. There is nothing there's nothing reductive to a single race or a sex or whatever with the hero's journey. You do have the female's hero's journey and the male's hero's journey and whatnot. There are differences within that, but the hero's journey is at the core. It's in that collective unconscious. There's no such thing as the patriarchy coming up on top at one point and saying, haha, let's push this formula to keep our power. No, it predates that. If you can even argue for that. The hero's journey is part of who we are. And we've had wonderful stories about different characters. If you want to make diversity, that's fine, but you put it within that hero's journey. And that doesn't mean that they're cliche in the sense of, well, I mean, look at these examples on the screen. These aren't all the same story. They don't even look alike in terms of stories. I mean, does Finding Nemo, is that really just, that's so cliche, just like Star Wars? No, they're completely different, because Jung would say you'd have to do that. Jung would say you have to individuate the archetypes, individuate the personal unconscious into your conscious mind, so take what in your experience and in your culture's given time and individuate that, with these archetypes. So that's why this story keeps popping up. That's why we have so many versions, and that's why Star Wars has resonated with people for so long. You think about that first trilogy. When did Return of the Jedi wrap up, Al? Did that come out in 82 or was it
1983?
83. Okay, 83. And then when did Phantom Menace come out? Phantom Menace.
I have no idea. And
it was like 2000.
No, it was in the 90s. It was mid 90s, mid to late 90s.
1999, actually. Okay,
yeah.
Phantom Menace was 1999. Okay, so that's a couple decades there, and yet Star Wars remained immensely popular. Now, obviously, it remained popular with the hardcore fans through the expanded universe, but it's still, without any movies in the theater, children were still following Star Wars. Children was still, Star Wars was still a thing when the original trilogy or the prequel trilogy came out. That brought in its own fans. Obviously, it wasn't as good as the original trilogy, but it still was quite solid in a lot of ways and gave us more of this mythos. And it followed the same path. Obviously, Anakin's hero's journey, it's actually really admirable and kind of cool the way Lucas, even for all the failings the prequel trilogy had, it's really cool how he strung together Anakin's own hero's journey as you can see now how Luke's perfected it. And that's really, really cool how Luke perfected what his father couldn't. And that too is part of the hero's journey, the tyrannical father having to redeem the tyrannical father. That's a big part of the hero's journey as well. So that's it all fits together so perfectly, and it resonates because of that. Disney came about and said, screw all that. We're just going to do something completely different. Kathleen Kennedy's only direction to J.J. Abrams, make a girl the lead. And J.J. Abrams just did whatever the flippity-floppity mystery box J.J. Abrams wants to put in there. Didn't give any thought to a real hero's journey story. And what did specifically Rian Johnson say when he did Last Jedi? I want to subvert your expectations. What expectation is he talking about? He's talking about the hero's journey. He wants to subvert that. He wants to do something totally new. That's not going to last. And then when J.J. Abrams tries to tie it back all together with Rise of Skywalker, I just want to smash my face into a window when I hear people say, it's really good. If you watch it, you can see how they really redeem stuff, and you can't redeem it. You can't. J.J. Abrams probably grabbed as many loose ends as he possibly could and tied them together as they possibly could tie together and hold together. That's still not worthy of going, wow, nice job. No, I mean, that's like if, no, Al's here, so I won't use my scatological examples anymore. I'm saying you can mold a pile of crap into it looks like a Sunday. It's still not a Sunday.
You couldn't help it.
I couldn't help it. It's just so good. So now And people say, shut up, man. Star Wars isn't dead. You just don't know what you're talking about. Look at all these ratings and reviews. Well, that's because we're in the cultural moment. You know, the movie just came out recently, and this and that's still going on, and this and that's still going on. And Mandalorian came out, and that's apparently a very well told story. And Clone Wars is still, doing well, and so far anyway, keeping to its true spirit. But here's the problem with that: even if everything that comes from Star Wars from here on out, and we know that's not the truth because we've already seen that nonsense of their high Republic garbage. When you see the boards from the writers, and clearly all they're worried about is diversity. Story takes a backseat to everything to the writers' political ideology. So that shit show's coming, which is going to try and undo and try and be just a slap in the face to the old Republic, which was a wonderful era in the EU. But let's just say that even if everything from here on out was of Mandalorian type quality and was really good stuff, it doesn't matter if they don't undo that sequel trilogy, because the sequel trilogy took the core of what made the original trilogy resonate so much with culture at large and completely deconstructed it. And what I'm talking about with that core is I'm talking about Luke Skywalker. His journey is the linchpin for everything that makes Star Wars resonate so strongly throughout culture and throughout time. Now, pay attention to what I said there, though. If you're not a big Luke fan, or if you like this other aspect or that aspect of it, I didn't say Star Wars. Luke Skywalker is the only thing to like about Star Wars. I mean, Al's, and I've talked a couple of times, and Al's more interested in just sort of the ships and the general, feel of Star Wars and the atmosphere of it and stuff like that. And other people are like, well, I'm really a big Han fan, or other people are really big, if they get into the EU and they're really a big fan of this era, that era. But I'm talking about what makes Star Wars last and resonate within the culture for so long was Luke Skywalker's journey of coming up from this sort of naive, farm boy, making his way through the galaxy to make good on his hope, to change that, to prove that naivete was actually true and real, and there was something behind it, to believe that Darth Vader could be saved, and then go on and carry forth what he's learned about the Jedi Order into this new wonderful thing that he was going to go and create. That has to be there. And what Rian Johnson did, basically, I mean, Abrams started to do it with Hermit Luke on a planet somewhere, but Rian Johnson did specifically with Luke, just grumpy old Jake Skywalker, was completely demolished that. Nope, there was a time when he thought maybe his nephew was evil, so he actually wanted to kill him, but then he decided not, and then he just go be a hermit. That's a completely different character, as Mark Hamill said many times, and everybody has said. And that completely, I mean, it meticulously and methodically and purposefully peels apart everything that was resonant about that original trilogy. There's no going forward. Rey means nothing. The people who pretend Rey means something to them are just doing it for woke points. They're just in it for the ideology. They're just trying to put that forth. No one truly cares about Rey. You might think, oh, she was a fun character to watch on the screen or what, but she does not at all resonate with anybody because she can't. She's not written like that. She doesn't have any of the DNA of a hero and a hero's journey for that. Rey is not going to be enough to carry Star Wars into the future and make it still relevant. Stories like The Mandalorian, while they might be wonderfully written and wonderfully well done, and maybe there's something that people who are fans of the old trilogy and the EU can enjoy thinking they're part of that, if you don't situate them within a continuity that's apart from what the Disney trilogy did, then they're not enough to save Star Wars and to keep it its main place, the vital place it has in culture and in the public consciousness that it's had for decades before. That's what I mean when I say Star Wars is dead if you don't undo that, because even though it's, it's not like, boom, everybody's forgotten it right now. No, it'll still be around for a little while or whatever, but having that place in society, no longer. It can't have that anymore because they've consciously stepped away from the basic outline of the universe, of the franchise, of everything here. And Star Wars is important. People think, well, don't you have other stories and franchises, that deal with this hero's journey? Well, of course we do, but those are getting systematically deconstructed as well. But there's something special about Star Wars, and it's interesting to get your take on this, Al, because I know you're a big Trek fan. Mm-hmm. Star Trek is obviously vitally important to culture as well. People love Star Trek and everything like that, but not in the same way. because there's no one singular story that really does carry forth with Star Trek. If you put a bunch of Star Trek fans in a room and ask them what's important about Star Trek, you'll get things. They'll say things about. They might say this a story or episode or movie they like, but the thing that'll rise to the top is the general principle, the general philosophy about the future, the general values that it put forth. Stuff like that's going to rise to the top. But if you put it, go ahead.
Star Wars is a much more personal story, whereas Star Trek is a much more universe, an expanse.
That's a great way of putting it.
An ensemble piece as opposed to just a few core characters.
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it.
Characters, of course, but yeah.
And the reason Star Wars is more personal is because you have that hero's journey presented that everybody can plug into with their experiences. And it's not just Luke that goes on a hero's journey. I mean, the expanded universe has got tons of other people. Revan's journey is quite impactful to me too, and everything. So you can go through that, but that's the deal. So this is why I say Star Wars is so vitally important. Now you've got me really incredibly curious because you say that your views on Star Wars has changed a little bit, or what did you say? How did you put that, Al?
I have been thinking over the course of my life, and of course, we evolve like over a month. I will say this: the new trilogy, the Reylo trilogy, whatever you want to call it, is not in any way genetically Star Wars.
Where is Fan Man's soundboard with the applause when you need it?
I will say this. When all my defenses of the new trilogy, and trust me, these defenses are done like half-heartedly. Trust me.
I was going to say, because you never argue that they're great movies.
No, they're not. They're not. I'm simply saying when I sat down, I enjoyed what was presented to me. I gleaned what I liked. It's. Have you ever had mixed nuts?
Yes.
And you don't want the Brazil nut. You're not a fan of the almond, so you pick around it. So I'm sitting here, and I'm noshing on the peanuts and the cashews and the odd almond. I do like an almond, but I'm staying away from the Brazil nut and whatever that other thing. Sometimes there's something else in there. I don't even know what it is. That's kind of like how I experience these new films. I glean off of them what I enjoy. I try to get what I can out of it because that's just the way I'm wired. I'm not wired to sit there and be I don't know, just totally become an emotional wreck because they made a stupid choice with Luke Skywalker. Yes, it was an immensely dumb plot move to do what they did with Luke. They could have still, up until where they went wrong was his decision to possibly kill Ben. That's when the Luke story just blew up. Until you could have had some reason he was on the island. He could have been, on the planet. He could have been mourning the loss of a love. There could have been something else going on. There could have been another explanation. The problem was, unlike the original trilogy, which is as close to perfection as you can get.
Oh yeah.
Cinematically, of course, it has its issues. Everything has its issues. You're not going to go from those characters. You're not going to end up with what they gave us in 7, 8, 9. So it's kind of like an Elseworlds experimental film that someone had an idea that they wanted to do it. They should just take the name Star Wars off of it. Now I'm going to be one to say Star Wars is not dead. As long as that original trilogy is there, Star Wars has always got breath in its lungs. It got severely kneecapped by the new trilogy, but I'll also state, like I said, not Phantom Menace. What was the Force Awakens? It's not a bad film, really. When you really look at it, it's a fun film. It hits all the little nostalgia points and everything like that. Now Johnson really went off the rails with the story, and that was because they had no plan. The original trilogy had a plan. The prequel trilogies had a plan. As dumb as some of those plans were, they at least were consistent. There's no consistency in the new trilogy. You're right. The core characters of the new trilogy will not resonate with fans over the long term. In 10 years, no one will give a damn who Kylo is, who Rey is, who Poe and Finn are. The only characters they're going to care about are Luke, Han, Chewie, R2, 3PO, and Lando.
Mm-hmm.
That were in that film, those films. Everybody else just kind of fades away from the memory the longer you go from it. Because there's just nothing to it anymore.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. And this is what I mean when I say Star Wars is dead. Like, I can see if maybe people think I'm being hyperbolic. Like, I'm not saying no one's ever going to watch. You're right. That original trilogy will always be there for people to discover and enjoy. But I'm talking about, when I talk about like the public consciousness, I mean the generations who carry it forth. So like my nieces, when the Disney trilogy was getting ready to come out, I think my brother-in-law took them to see Force Awakens and then went back and watched all of the old ones. Now, my niece, she went ahead and just watched those old ones because it was part of the thing. She was doing it with her dad. But if you talk to her now about anything that happened in those old ones or any of the characters, she couldn't care less. She couldn't give a crap about those original movies because she, at her young, impressionable age, before she's really old enough to let something resonate, like, she doesn't even know what a hero's journey is. Yes, she hasn't lived quite long enough. She just sees Rey and the new stuff and the stuff that doesn't look old and whatever, and none of this will matter to her. Now, Rey and all of that kind of stuff, that's not going to matter to her 2 years from now. She'll be off onto something else. Whereas if she'd resonated with, with maybe a newer version of a proper hero's journey in the Star Wars universe, if she'd come across that or something, if she'd heard the story of Han and Leia's twins, and resonated with that from a new telling, then it would stick with her longer and would never really leave her. So,
first of all, exposing your child to Force Awakens before the original trilogy is is bad parenting.
Yeah.
That's wrong. No. The first things you should ever show your kids are New Hope.
I agree.
And then Empire and the others, and then the prequels maybe. I'd like to see someone go and take those prequels and like trim about an hour and a half off of it, and it's doable. I get rid of the Gunk. Oh God, I hate the Gunkins. But yes, the new trilogy as a film, take away the title. First one's good, enjoyable. The second one, now here's where we're gonna have, is a good film, but it is the least Star Wars of all of them.
Let's get into specifics because I think we can avoid a fight with this. I would say it's a well shot film, but I think it's a horribly written film in terms of character development and character engagement and stuff.
Oh no, I agree.
Okay, yeah, I figure.
Yeah, I'm just saying it's not a piece of crap. It's not like slapdashed together. If anything, Rise of Skywalker felt slapdashed together because you're right. JJ started something, handed it off, and decided and was never going to come back. He had to come back because he screwed up whatever he tried to start. Even if his ideas were kind of weirdly weird and out there.
He at least had a plan of sorts.
Yeah, there had to be some. Well, I don't think that's the problem. They didn't have a plan.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they shot one frame of Force Awakens knowing anything of the next two films, which was just wrong. You have got, if you're going to do a trilogy, I mean, Disney said, we're going to do a new trilogy. You better have, before you cast that first character, before Daisy Ridley is even a picture on your desk, those three films need to be blocked out.
Yeah.
You need to have a pretty detailed outline. Sure, you could like change a few things here and there, and that's what they don't have a feel of. There's no relation between the films. There's like you said, the characters just aren't there. Visually, they're very cool to watch. Mm-hmm. As a person who likes starships, it's fun to watch.
Well, that kind of stuff, yeah, sure.
Yeah, for that kind of stuff, yeah, that's the most Star Wars thing about it are the visuals. Mm-hmm. But everybody you really care about is dead. Mm-hmm. I mean, except for Chewie, R2, and 3PO, the only ones that you really give a damn. Well, Lando have survived the whole bloody thing. Mm-hmm. Everybody else is gone, and it's pointless. But thinking about it, like I said, I'm not going to, climb a 40-story building and jump out a window because of what they did to Luke. But I get it. I understand why the fan man was on the brink of just an absolute mental collapse. Because they did dishonor that character.
Yeah.
They could have done. Disney had this epic in their hands. They could have done something marvelous with it. They should have gotten the right people in there, and they could have had a female lead. There's nothing wrong with a female lead, but they have to be written in there. It has to be organic to the story. Mm-hmm. Like I said, it could have been Luke's Padawan or something.
Oh yeah, I mean, there's the wonderful female leads throughout the EU, but they're written as real characters and not as token. Don't take my hand. I'm strong enough to run on my own.
Yeah, outside of like Leia and stuff like that. And I know you brought up Nomi Sunrider. Mm-hmm. Did I get that name right?
You did.
Yeah. I've actually heard of her. So, mm-hmm. But you have a character like from Star Wars Rebels. You have Hera, who is the Twi'lek who flies the Ghost. She's the pilot. Uh-huh. Very strong character, and fits perfectly there. I think Rebels is, however Disney it may be, I still think Rebels was a.
Well, Rebels was written by Dave Filoni, or headed by Dave Filoni. So you've got him there. Now, of course, they made hard detours from the EU continuity straight into mm-hmm. Rogue One and Disney continuity at the time. But I think that was before Last Jedi and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they were. See, the thing is, Disney probably had a band of people who they wanted to work on this stuff, and they just weren't familiar with the EU and didn't want to take the time to know it. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? It's like I think Disney viewed it as just too much of an effort. Let's create our own things. We don't want to have all this other stuff where we're going to have to pay other people. We'll just create our own stuff, and and all money will be ours. Mm-hmm. And that's what they did. Now, but like I said, Disney, their trilogy is ultimately, yes, it needs to be overwritten, filed away, put on a shelf a Song of the South, and I think everybody will be happy.
Yeah.
And should they redo it? I don't know.
Let me ask you this.
I think Return of the Jedi is a wonderful end. of the Skywalker saga, and I would be very happy if that's where it does end. And I know many people are going to say that is where it ended, except for, of course, those who read the books.
Yeah, I think, I mean, if they decided to do the Thrawn trilogy, that would be completely epic. I mean, could you imagine that? Yeah, people would just be falling all over themselves. Obviously they'd have to recast.
Oh yeah, well yeah, they'd have to recast all of them. But, it's perfectly possible to do that.
Mhm,
You can
mhm.
you can recast something if it's written well enough. The people will enjoy it. They will accept. Um, what the one who played Levin in Stranger Things would be great as
Oh
Princess
yeah,
Leia.
oh definitely, yeah.
When she's a little older. And I know there's a few guys out there that can play. I mean, the guy played Han in Solo. I thought did a fine job. He might be able to do that. He's a little older, get him a little rougher around the edge. He might be able to pull it off.
There are people out
And
there
then
who do it. Yeah,
yeah, there are. I mean, like I said, it's not the only choice, but I'm just
Yeah.
saying it's a viable choice. I mean, where you've got your Chewie, you've got a very young man who's playing Chewie, Jonas Swotoma. Oh, I can't pronounce his name, but great guy knows. I mean, if there's any good thing to come out of that new trilogy, it's the new Chewie.
Mhm.
He has all the respect in the world, and he carries the spirit with him. The Force is with him.
I agree with you, Xana Maru. Yes, people are saying the new trilogy or the sequel trilogy isn't that bad, or it's good fun despite its flaws. And I think that's what Al's saying here too. Like, I like what Al said. If you took away the name Star Wars from it,
Yeah,
you could easily say that. But I've been dumping on it for a while, and I was apparently coming around to the idea that it's not the proper Star Wars. Continuation.
I was never really. No, I was never really. I was just always just like, it's not the end of the world, guys.
I'm not. Red Vitamin Blue said Pruff is delusional if he thinks Disney will handle the Thrawn trilogy with tact and respect. No, I don't. We're talking pie in the sky. Wouldn't it be cool if, no, if Disney tomorrow released, we're doing the Thrawn trilogy, I'd be
now it
worried.
All depends on who's in charge of Disney and who's in
True.
charge of that division of it.
If they said Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are heading up and they're in charge of the, that'd be different.
There are a few people out there that I think people have a trust for.
Bringing Timothy Zahn as a writer on the screenplay.
Yep. I mean, it's doable. It'll never happen.
Yeah. No.
I think it works better as a book, probably.
Yeah. Well, that's leads to my question, because we've been doing the Thrawn trilogy book study on this channel. Al and I have been going through it and enjoying it quite a bit. And this is Al's first time through it, and we're into Dark Force Rising now. We just started that. How much, if any, has reading the expanded you kind of contributed to your rethinking things a little?
Oh yeah, of course it puts a new spin on it. Like I said, you've ruined it for me.
I keep making Al read the books behind movies. He's like, damn it, now I can't enjoy the movie because I see what they changed.
I would have been perfectly happy in my own little ignorant movie viewing world.
Sorry, not sorry. To sound very millennial there for a moment. Well, speaking of Thrawn trilogy, I do want to pitch that. I mean, that's coming again this Thursday, and we're going up through chapter 11. Is that what we said, Al?
Through 10, wasn't it?
Through 10. That's right. Through 10. Through chapter 10. Yeah.
That's a good chunk. It's a big chunk. I got a couple chapters in today.
Yeah, it's good stuff. But I don't know if people remember this. I did this, and then it took me forever to I got so busy with school and everything like that. But this is once upon a time I was doing reviews of the EU chronologically through my channel. I got sidetracked, and life was kicking me away from it. So I actually took those old reviews down and did newer ones now that I had more time to think about it, even give a more literary slant to it. And I'm doing these through theexpandeduniverse.com, the website is putting these up. So that's the one I did on the Dawn of the Jedi Into the Void novel, which one of the most recently things written, but is chronologically takes place earliest. And I just today sent him the review for the Dawn of the Jedi graphic novels as well, Force Storm, Prisoner of Bogan, and Force War. So he should be putting those up on the website soon, and I'll be able to share those as well. But that's the review I just dropped in the chat for Dawn of the Jedi. And I'm going to be a little bit more, this week is my spring break, actually, so I'm going to try and get through the review of Tales of the Jedi Volume 1. That does, introduce us. I think Nomi Sunrider comes in Tales of the Jedi 1. It might be Volume 2. But anyway, we'll be going in through that. So just wanted to mention that and give a shout out to the expandeduniverse.com because they're great. Matt Wilkins and all the stuff he does there. So
I see you haven't been in a Star Wars mood because like over the last couple of days, we've got like all these like Star Wars oriented questions. Like,
well,
tell me true.
It's
watching The Mandalorian. Now that you've read the thing, does it contradict anything? Like no.
Well, this is the thing. Star Wars is not something that I grew up with. I've told you guys that before. I mean, I knew what Star Wars was, and when I'd watch it, I enjoyed Luke Skywalker's story. But the problem was I was surrounded by Star Wars fanatics, and when you it's kind of like whenever we talk about anime and like 1,000 people start dropping recommendations in the chat. It's like you guys are so annoying that I'm never going to watch any of that shit because you told me to. Now, eventually I get around to watching it and love it. We love the anime that we watched and talked about, but people, they're passionate about the fandom and they want to make sure that you're thinking about me when you watch Berserk or Full Metal Alchemist or whatever, and that's just human nature because they're so tied to it. But, like with anything, you got to give people their room to make their own connection to it. And I never really did that with Star Wars until Disney came out with their sequel trilogy. And I started seeing what was going on, especially by the time of Last Jedi. I was like, no. Because, I was studying the hero's journey and studying, and it's been my scholarship, with my academic career and obviously teaching it and stuff like that. So I said, well, let me delve into this. Let me go back and rediscover the original trilogy for myself and then delve into the EU that people keep recommending. And it's just, it took hold to me even late in life. So it's a testament that you don't need to be young and watching this at a formative age for the Star Wars to really take hold. I mean, Luke's story speaks to me so much, even now at 40 years old. And, so it's a testament to how resonant the story can be at any age given, So yeah, and I am I just been like diving head first and loving every second of it. But yeah, I'm sure you're like, what is going on with the prof? Oh, cool. Casey Scott said, never read the EU, and you've gotten me really interested in Thrawn Trilogy. I'm glad, because that Thrawn Trilogy is the place to start. That is the proper trilogy, sequel trilogy. Yeah. It's.
I still wish they had made Splinter of the Mind's Eye.
That'd be interesting if they did that as like an animated film.
Mm-hmm.
Especially now that it's got something like its own cult following and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
But,
the first book outside of the first movie.
I would like to pick up, they talked about in the documentary where they made a novelization based on George Lucas's first Star Wars script. I don't hear much about that even being out there in the world anymore, but I'd be interested to read that to see what changes might have happened before that script in the film was made and all this kind of stuff. That'd be interesting.
Is that when Luke was still a Star Killer?
Yeah, I think it was still Luke Star Killer, and yeah, I think so.
Yeah, and Han Solo and Obi-Wan were like the same character.
It might not have been. It might have been after that, but yeah, I know they went through all these kind of iterations. So yeah, but that's good, And then consulting with Joseph Campbell, and realizing the mentor and the rogue should be different characters and such, and wanting to consolidate. But yeah, it's good stuff. It's the film should be studied from a writing aspect, certainly from a filmmaking aspect. I mean, Lucas himself was highly influenced by John Ford. You watch like the old Western, The Searchers, with those wipes for edits and those vast expanses of, snow or something like that in The Searchers. But of course you got the Tatooine desert, and New Hope and whatnot. So really is good stuff. Great stuff. So, Tom Spiegel said, question for anyone. If I read Outbound Flight first, would it ruin any of the mystery of Survivor's Quest? Never read Survivor's Quest, but did read Outbound Flight after I read the Thrawn trilogy, and was very cool because that's, Thrawn's origin into that universe, written by Zahn. But I said the Thrawn stuff by Timothy Zahn gets a little hairy because he's writing Thrawn stuff for the new continuity now too. And I slipped up and read his Thrawn book, thinking it was part of the old continuity, but it's part of the new. And it's very well written. It's an amazing book because he's a great writer, but it doesn't match up with the continuity of the EU. It's a very different kind of tale. So, didn't they make a comic on the original script, like Han was an alien? I don't know about that, Casey Scott. Maybe they did. I know that Marvel. Yeah, maybe that's Marvel's, because Marvel did comic adaptations of the movie. Maybe that was from the original script. I have the Dark Horse adaptation of the original trilogy, which they did later, and they incorporated some EU stuff into, because Dark Horse was the EU comic publisher for a while there. I think it was the Marvel one that maybe had some original script stuff in it like that. So, yeah. Oh, the Akira Kurosawa movies. That's right, Phantom Owl. Yeah, that was another big influence of him. Yeah. You ever watch
The Phantom Owl? I like that.
Great name, isn't it? Phantom Owl and Soul Assassin. Well, these names are great. So, Blaze Ripe, I was wondering what you're studying. Right now, I'm studying for an MA in theology, an online degree MA in theology. But I've got a master's degree in English literature, which, American Lit's my focus. And then I've got an MFA in creative writing. And now I'm beginning the MA in theology. Because
Age of Boomer is bringing up the other star.
Star Trek Picard is not Star Trek. I would agree with the Age of Boomer, but I'm not as personally invested in it enough to get into the fight that would ensue. So I'm going to leave that there. Leave it lie.
I want to say one interesting thing, though.
What's that?
About Star Trek Picard. You know how all the Star Trek series they say based on Star Trek by Gene Roddenberry?
Oh, uh-huh.
Star Trek Picard says based on Star Trek The Next Generation.
Really?
Yeah. To me, that is a significant difference.
Yeah, that is a big difference.
Just putting it out there.
That's a really big difference. Wow.
Which makes Picard more in tune. Like I said, it's not really
in tune. What do you mean?
I think it's more Star Trek than people give it credit for.
Oh no! See, I'm saying that is a bad thing.
No, I'm saying saying that it's based on that is different than saying based on Star Trek.
See, I look at that as like it's a copy of a copy, and you make a copy of a copy. It's never as pure as just a copy of the real thing.
Oh no, it's not a copy. It's like continuation.
I know. I'm just using that as an analogy, though.
Yeah, but I'm saying they're not. They're not saying it's Star Trek proper. Like TOS. You see nothing of TOS in it, but you can't help but of course there's TNG in it, and if you say it that way, to me it just changes a few the way I look at Picard.
Well, they would really save a lot of fans if they started to be a little clear, like, okay, Discovery isn't in the same universe as the TOS as you've known and loved it. We're doing a different thing, a different continuity, And if they did that with Picard and the TNG, they'd also save a lot of it, but they don't, they got too much pride for that. They just think, oh, we'll just keep our heads down and bull forward, and eventually people will get on board, because that works so well for DC Warner Brothers and everybody else who's tried that approach. Oh, yeah.
Well, I've been enjoying Picard, so
that's a whole other stream. We've in fact we've had that stream, and Troy and Batman and all have been on that, and that was and I ended up putting my feet up and reading a book, I think, for most of that stream.
Put in your copy of Babylon 5.
There you go. Exactly. They took that off of Amazon Prime. Pissed me off. I have to go to dig it out of storage now and get my DVDs.
Oh, yeah, damn, that sucks.
Yeah, it was. They just took it off like after the New Year too, shortly after. So I got to go dig out my DVDs now to finish watching it. But thanks, Troy. Troy just placed a link for the Tales from the Stacks in there again. Yeah, I've been a bad streamer and marketer for the campaign. We are over halfway there, which is good. And I have no doubt we'll get there in the next 23 days. But we'll make the goal, and then once it hits the goal, then the campaign can stay up for a bit. If we make the goal, though. So if you think you want this special collections edition, but you need to wait, and you're thinking, well, yeah, I can possibly wait after the month campaign. That's if we make the campaign. That's how those things work. And the thing is, since it's the same book but just extra content, that's not necessarily a given that everybody who backed the first book will want this one. If it was a sequel or if it was something else from the creator or whatever, that's a different kind of deal. But it's sometimes a hard sell to do a different edition. So it's if you think you're interested, you'd be time to jump on it earlier than later. And if you think you know of anybody that might be interested in it, it's good stuff. This is the only version that'll be available now. Like I said, once the first campaign ships here soon, that'll be it for those copies. You'll never be able to see those again unless I'm like at a con or something, and maybe I have a couple on the table or something. But this is it now for the chance to get Tales from the Stacks. So there we go. What else is going on in your neck of the woods? This was going to be a little short stream, so we'll kind of wrap it up here. But did you have anything? How did the rewatch went pretty well last night? I hear.
Yeah, enjoyed it. We had a good time. My browser didn't die, so that was a good thing. So watching from beginning to end with no trouble.
Nice, good.
Yeah, had a good time. It was Nanette's first viewing. She
really?
She said she really enjoyed it. So yeah, really gotten that. Got in the St. Patty's Day mood. St. Patty's Day mood, I should say.
Yeah, I meant to drop by and say hi. And I think the Friday the 13th rewatch you did with Fan Man went pretty well too, didn't it?
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. Yeah, we had a lot of fun doing that.
Yeah,
I enjoyed doing the rewatches. It's fun watching a good classic film with someone who's like invested in it and just likes chatting through it. It's just I enjoy that, and I look forward to many more.
Yeah. Well, this Saturday, of course, we have got Dr. Harble's sing along blog, which we will be joined by the sound engraver for. Unfortunately, Troy and Nanette can't be there for that, but they'll be there around the next one. So yeah, that'll be fun Saturday. And we got office hours coming this Tuesday again. Troy's going to join us for that, and then the book study again. So all the usual stuff. Any plans for another afternoon with Al? You haven't done one of those in a while, have you?
Haven't done all. Everything's kind of last week was a doctor week, so it just kind of took the whip. Trying to do one this week and see how it goes.
Yeah.
I did get in a review up today, so if people want to go and see that, that'd be nice.
Nice.
You talk about Dr. Horrible sing-along blog, of course, with the lovely Felicia Day, who I've met. Here's a picture of me and her.
Oh,
as the
you can share it if you want to share it. Okay, just got it there. Very nice.
That's pretty good. That's me and her.
Trying to take. Let me see if I can take.
Trying to make me real big. Yeah. That's the real me. Of course, anybody who follows me on Facebook knows what I look like. So it's no big deal.
I remember that con. I like that hotel that Farpoint was in. I'm kind of bummed.
Her at I think it was a Farpoint.
Yeah, it's a Farpoint.
Yeah, because she's been at 2 Farpoints, so I've met her at both of them. So
yeah, she was very nice in person. I give her props for that. She's gotten a little off the political psycho board online and stuff like that, but she's very nice and polite to her fans.
That's why I try not to read any of the political posts because it would just make me sad. Let me change it back here. But I'll keep that one for Saturday. I'll put it up there on Saturday. But
go ahead.
No, I really didn't have anything to say.
I was going to ask you at the end here and I'm trying to say the word in case I've done the damage. I haven't done the damage to the stream yet. But is the CV is that going crazy in Maryland as much as it is here in Virginia?
Well, I really don't know. I mean, I know that people are not going to have issues with going to the bathroom for a while because they've got enough toilet paper to survive.
That's so crazy.
I mean, I know it's like for God's sake, people. I mean, worst comes to worst, use a washcloth and rinse it out. I mean, worst comes to worst.
That's gross. Oh man, it's insane. I mean, I know that you were saying your bishop closed out like no public masses, so you can't go to mass.
There's I think at least for a couple weeks. I know NASCAR shut down. There's been the next two races. Well, the race today was canceled. Today's Sunday, right? Yeah. The race today was canceled. Oh my God! Why do I think it's Monday? I don't know.
I think maybe
Monday, but I just feel off today.
Yeah.
But yeah, like two races that they've canceled the next two races. I know a few cons have decided to shut down. Like Wales Comic Con was canceled. I mean, damn. I mean, people are just losing their freaking mind.
I know that our bishop he didn't close out masses, but he might end up doing it because he did send out a dispensation to all the elderly or anybody that's really worried about it. You don't have to go to mass Sunday. So I usually go to the 5:15 mass on Sundays anyway because I like that one. So I went, and even driving there, I'm like, this town is dead. Like nobody's on the road, and it's like, this is crazy. And I get there, of course, not very big people are there, and that's no big deal. And I walk up there, and I'm friends with the worship leader for the 5:15 mass. And are there, do you have the sheets for the music or whatever? He said, apparently, just like within the last hour, the bishop has asked that all remaining masses not have music or a homily, just so they can really basically rush through them and get people home. I'm like, this is nuts. It's the flu, people. Like, there are real precautions that you should take, obviously, and stuff. But all things considered, it's being blown way out of proportion.
The thing is, there's the reason it is blown out of proportion though is because there is no vaccine. There's no preventive measure aside from not getting it.
But there's not for the I guess there's not really all the way for the flu because you never know if the strain you got vaccinated for is going to be the one.
The flu. But with the coronavirus, it's just it's gestation.
I'll drop the name.
Sorry.
It's okay.
Sorry.
It's okay. The channel was probably done before that anyway. The stream anyway. Go ahead.
The Dos Equis virus. Because its gestation period is so long, and you could spread it to God knows how many people before you realize you have it.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what it's just its transmission is what's got everybody flipping out.
I can see how.
I think it'll run its course. I'm sure they're close to isolating a thing, and I mean they'll fast forward human testing for any kind of a vaccine or something. I'm sure that within the next couple of weeks they'll have that.
I think, I can definitely see the elderly being concerned. I know that Alyssa's, schools, for children. Alyssa's occupational therapist has problems with asthma, so she's obviously canceling things. I can kind of see stuff like that.
Yeah, schools are shutting down. I mean, it's it's. I get it, but I mean, I can still go. I mean, really?
Yeah. I don't think there's anything to hide inside biting your fingernails, worried for your future of your mortality about,
It's not the apocalypse.
Exactly.
I mean, it's as much an apocalypse as the flu is every year.
But the 24-hour media cycle loves it.
Yeah, and of course, it's all Trump's fault.
Oh, of course.
Yeah, you might as well call it the Trump virus because that's as far as anybody is concerned.
Oh,
there's a lot of stupid things on there, and like I said, I'm homebound anyway. My mother goes out as little as possible, but she does have to go to the store and CVS and stuff like that. When she needs to, but I think the next few days, I think it's going to start to plateau.
And I'm not homebound, but I might as well be because I'm such an introvert and I like staying home. But here's the problem. Here's where crap gets real. On the way home from mass, I stopped by the store because I'm running low on Diet Dr. Pepper. And damn it, if the shelf was not bare.
Oh, dude.
Now it's time to burn shit down.
Yeah. All work and no pepper make the professor a sad boy.
I know it's not going to be pretty. I got plenty to get through tonight. Tomorrow I'll go to another store. I mean, it's not like toilet paper. Come on, folks. Leave me my Diet Dr. Pepper, damn it. So we shall see.
Well, it's that look when, like, cause the way things are, a little behind the scenes thing. My mother puts the sodas in the refrigerator.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I'm up, but, on the days I get up, I like sitting there having a nice soda, and, I'm up, and it's just a different view every other day. And she goes, "Oops, I forgot to put soda in there." And I'm like, "God damn it."
Sorry, Nanette.
Darn it. Gosh darn it. Sorry.
Al gets very upset when his schedule, when his routine is thrown off. I'll never forget.
God help me.
I'll never forget when I was chatting with you on Messenger one night and you were just off. Like something was on. I was like, dude, what's going on? He finally came out. He's like, the Chinese restaurant gave me the wrong order. I didn't want Mugu got paid. What's going on?
No, it was Kung Pao chicken. I wanted
so mad.
General Dao's chicken, and they gave me Kung Pao chicken, which is, quite frankly, the most vile dish they could have done. They could have put in almost anything else. Sesame chicken, chicken chow mein, chicken fried rice, almost anything else. They put in the oh jeez. They put in the one thing it's basically all peanuts and green pepper and chicken. That's what it is.
I've been upset too when I get it ordered wrong. You're expecting one thing, you got your mouth watering for a certain dish, and then you get home and some idiot didn't bother reading the order well or something.
Oh yeah, or like that one time every few weeks you go out and you're expecting some fast food.
Mm-hmm.
Arby's. I get Arby's maybe once every couple of months. Damn it, they forgot the curly fries.
Yeah, fast food's the worst because those people there just don't care enough to worry about the orders. Like Alyssa is really loving Wendy's. They've got a crispy chicken BLT. It's one of their like little value spender sandwiches, but she likes it so much that she counts the ingredients. So she makes sure it has 8 ingredients. She counts the 2 buns as 2 different ingredients, but it needs to have its bacon and its lettuce and tomato and its cheese and all that. And if it doesn't have that, and a lot of times I'll go there and order it, and they'll just give me just a crispy chicken instead of the crispy chicken BLT. And I've had to go back in there and like, damn it, this is not going to stand. And I think I've trained them by now to get the sandwich right. But it's a fast food place. Like, unless it's Chick-fil-A, they just don't care. Get you out of there.
Yeah, I mean, I used to when I was out and about and driving and like a normal person, I always checked to make sure, because the one thing I hated to do was to get home and not have what I expected to have.
Mm-hmm.
That just it infuriated me.
Yeah. Yep.
But,
Tom Spiegel says once you got a burger with all the toppings and no burger patty, that's
oh my God, that's sacrilege. That's the true Impossible Burger. But yeah, oh God, that Kung Pao chicken. Thanks for bringing up that trauma.
Digging that out of your personal unconscious.
Jeez. I mean, I was infuriated. I truly was. I mean, and the thing is, you call the place. It's like, no, this said Kung Pao chicken. I was like, there's no way that this said Kung Pao chicken. It does not come out of the mouth.
Oh,
it does now because of the, worst thing in life. Andrew McCarthy having a plate of Kung Pao chicken. It's the worst thing in the universe.
Oh man. Hey, I just got an email from Matt Wilkins from theexpandeduniverse.com. He says this review for the Jedi comics, they're going to go up on April 1st. Don't let that fool you. My review is legit, like it's sincere, but it's going to be April 1st because they're doing a March Madness EU Arthur's tournament or something right now. So, but luckily I should have Tales of the Jedi Volume 1 review to him then by then as well. So that should go up shortly thereafter. So Don't forget to check out theexpandeduniverse.com. Obviously, there are a lot of different websites out there with the expanded universe in it, but this is written out too. The Expanded Universe, no EUs or anything like that. .com. It's good stuff. So, all right, man. Well, I think we should probably wrap this up so I can get some work done and get to working on Miss Serena 1000 script as well. So definitely email me if you want to give me some extra stuff there or new versions of the script or whatever you want me to look at there as well. And then I've got some stuff for GI Jackrabbits to do for Mr. Adam Post as well. So that's going along well. I haven't talked about College of the Dead, but College of the Dead Volume 2, Adam's current campaign is doing very well. And definitely you want to jump in on that because the first book was just so good. And you can get the first book in this campaign if you missed it. If you like zombie stories, and you know me, I'm not really a big zombie guy. Like I like classic monster movies, but zombies of the classic monsters are probably my least favorite. And yet I was 100% on board with this. It's so well written and well done. So can't wait for Volume 2 to come. So yeah.
I'd like to see them film, or they might have done it, a graphic novel of Night of the Living Trekkies. Did you ever hear about?
I never watched that. Never saw that or heard it. I think I've heard of it, but I never experienced it.
Yeah, it's a book.
Okay.
It's Night of the Living Trekkies.
Okay, because I heard the title, but
yeah, you get basically zombies at a Star Trek
oh, that's all kinds of fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice. All right. Well, thank you guys for showing up. Appreciate it. Steve Cruz, thanks for all your funny comments. I do see them, even though sometimes I can't comment on them if someone else is talking. But thank you, AL, Owen Lister, Agent Boomer. Great to see everybody here tonight. Casey Scott, Blue Samurai Zero, Troy and Annette, of course, Matchstick, Fred Leggett, all of the folks who come out. Great to see you guys tonight, and come back just the day after tomorrow. Is that it? Yeah, day after tomorrow for office hours.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. Until next time, keep enjoying and digging deeper into the hero stories you love.
You traumatized me, man. Traumatized me straight up.